Welcome to the Unpacking It podcast with Bryce Johnson. It's a show that unpacks sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world. Enjoy inspiring conversations and thought-provoking interviews. You'll hear stories from people that will inspire, challenge, and encourage you. Now, from the Unpacking It studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, uniting sports fans everywhere, here is Bryce Johnson.
Welcome to the Unpacking It podcast, where we unpack sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world. I'm Bryce Johnson. Thanks so much for being with us today. I am thrilled to welcome back a former guest to the show once again. His name is Cameron Tringale. He's a pro golfer on the PGA Tour. He's been a pro since 2009, and he had a great college career at Georgia Tech, where he won the ACC championship as a freshman and then played in the 2007 and 2009 U.S. Amateur Championship and was a three-time All-American. And since turning pro, he's played in 10 majors, and his best world golf ranking has been 55. And today on the show, we'll talk about him and his wife. They're about to have their first child, and it's almost any day now and a couple weeks away. And so we'll get into that. We'll also talk about how the quarantine and virus and all that has affected him and his life and his perspective on things. And we end up having a great conversation about prayer. And I want to continue that conversation after the interview. So stick around for that. I'll give you some thoughts on prayer. It was a fun conversation. If you missed the first time we had Cameron, I encourage you to go back on our website, unpackingit.com, and just search for it on there. And you can hear a little bit more about his story. Today we kind of talk more about what's going on now, but he shared really his faith journey and his story that first time around he was on the show. Before we jump in, let me ask you this. Do you need to get your own health insurance? Well, go to healthmarketgenius.com. Know your options, healthmarketgenius.com. Support them as they support us. Right now, here is Cameron Tringale.
Intriguing guests and inspiring conversations. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
And joining us again on the Unpacking It podcast is pro golfer Cameron Tringale. Cameron, great to have you back on the show. How are you?
Good, Bryce. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you. And first up, we got to hear just how you and your family are doing, with the quarantine and everything that's been going on these last couple of months.
Well, it's been a nice time at home, actually. It's a rarefied air for a pro golfer to get so much time with the break. So we've been at our home in Florida, my wife and I. We're expecting our first child in about a month.
Oh, man.
So we have been just preparing and getting the nursery ready, doing little jobs around the house. The golf course I practice at opened up almost 2 weeks ago. Getting back to work a little bit.
Wow. Well, so as far as we'll talk about the baby for sure. From a golf standpoint, so had you not been playing at all then, up until a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I hadn't played since the Thursday of the Players Championship, which was in mid-March, early March. So I had about 6.5 weeks without touching the club.
Wow. When's the last time you've gone that long, or have you ever gone that long?
I'd have to rack my brain here, but probably in it wasn't since really I started playing.
Wow.
Like really started playing, that it's been that long.
Yeah. So what was that like then? Not being out on the course and just you're so used to that rhythm of the golf life and tournaments and all that. What has that kind of been like? Just mentally and just kind of not being used to that kind of setup.
Well, it was an adjustment for sure. I didn't really know what to do with myself for the first couple weeks. at home. We didn't know how long the break would be, so I was sort of just preparing for 3 weeks off, and I thought, I won't touch the clubs because it's a welcome break. I had played like 8 to 10 weeks to start the year.
Oh, wow.
Or something like that. I was just enjoying not having any tournaments to play, and then they closed the beach here. They extended the delay of tournaments. So I was just like, what do I do at home? Like there was only so much I could think to do. And I sort of got into a routine of reading, sleeping in the mornings, doing a little reading and praying, setting up my day. And then like by lunchtime, it was like trying to fill the day with something other than Netflix. So started working out, really just hanging out at the house.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you say, I mean, this isn't a normal thing for you to have this downtime, and so has there been I don't know, any moments or just the experience of being home with your wife, especially during this time that you'll look back with about to have a baby, that you'll look back in kind of thankfulness for this experience? And I know there's so many negative aspects to what's going on, but just for you, just some of the positive, I don't know, memories or aspects that you'll be able to have.
One thing is certainly a new appreciation for work. I think I maybe was overworking, but just I was in this place where it was just normal to push and play a lot, and I found myself really enjoying the time at home after I kind of settled down. So I think, but in that, I long to do something, like to be active in pursuing something and working towards something. So I think I learned to appreciate work, and just that it's a gift, even though it's challenging and it's not fun all the time. It truly is something good in our lives. So that's one thing. And secondly, just slowing down, like the life without golf kind of made me think, all right, what's my life look like without this game? And golf's been a huge part of my life for so long. It was kind of like a sneak peek into retirement. All right, what do I do if golf is off the table? And those are some big questions I had to kind of start to think about, and I wish I had concrete answers, but I think I can say confidently I'm thankful that I am going to get to be playing golf here again soon, and
that's right. Yeah.
Hope that when the time for retirement comes, I'll be more prepared.
No, that's great. Well, we'll talk about golf coming back here soon. But you mentioned, having more opportunities maybe to read, or at least, start your day with reading. Anything in particular? What can you share as far as what you've been reading, and even from a biblical perspective as well? Anything that you can share?
Yeah, well, one thing that had been kind of on my mind and heart for a while was learning how to pray, and really trying to balance and understand prayer. And so I started to read this book, 2 books on prayer, one by Eugene Peterson and another one by Ben Patterson. And the second one I mentioned by Ben Patterson is Praying Through the Psalms. It's probably got 75, probably half of the Psalms, and it's a little devotional, and then it sort of breaks up the Psalms into chunks of things to be prayerful about. So instead of just sitting in a chair and saying, oh, what should I pray about today? It has given me a little bit of structure to where I can be praying through God's word, which I know is never going to be wrong. And it just has really opened my eyes to get me aligned with what does God really want, not what does Cameron want. And I noticed a lot of these things in the Psalms that we're praying for have nothing to do with me. It's very others focused. It's about, with coronavirus and all the sickness, there's tons of references to being surrounded by enemies and people trying to take your life. And, we don't experience that. Most of us don't experience that kind of persecution on a daily basis or ever. But the deeper reality that this virus has become an enemy and it has surrounded us, and we try as we may, we're still struggling to have any kind of victory against it. And so it pushes me closer to the Lord, closer to seeking him and depending upon him, because this is well beyond anything we can control.
No, that's awesome to hear. And it's interesting. I'm actually reading a book about praying right now. I'm in a mentor group, and we're going through a book called A Praying Life by Paul Miller. And it's been great and challenging for me too. And I've been following Jesus for a while, but it's always great to just get back to some of the basics and figure out, okay, why am I praying? What am I praying about? What am I maybe getting caught up in that's not of the Lord, or a biblical perspective on it. So it's been great and challenging for me too. So cool to hear, especially going through the Psalms. What a great way to kind of give you that structure for prayer. And to continue that too, just for you, you mentioned, okay, there's plenty to pray about right now with the virus and all of that. How has your perspective on kind of what's going on in the world, really been influenced by your faith? And even as you're maybe talking with people, or you listen to the news or whatever, how has your faith kind of grounded you and given you perspective during this time? Because so many people are searching, wondering, wrestling. Where kind of you been at just with your own spiritual journey through this whole process?
Yeah, well, one thing that sort of, we don't watch the news anymore, but one thing the first week or so when we were, there was all this panic and all this mayhem and all the attention was on a cure and a vaccine, and it still is very much on a vaccine. We've really seen, the value of human life. Like, people really, that's what they want to avoid. Everyone's trying to avoid death. Underneath that, we know we will all die at some day. We will all face judgment. I've just been comforted in the fact that, I've been praying for a vaccine and for a cure and safety of everyone, but really there's a much larger need for people, and that's to be made right with God, not just to avoid the coronavirus. Because even if you get the vaccine, you're still going to die someday. That's right. And so I guess my heart has been that people would not put their hope in this cure, but in God. And really the craze that people are experiencing, most of those people, there's a lot of fear about death, and it's given me peace to know, that my faith is built upon Jesus and his life, and not in my own doing. And I've just really kind of thought that my heart has grown to share the gospel and to be even more evangelical, to share the hope that we have as believers, as those who know and are walking with the Lord. Like, yeah, none of us want to die either, but we know ultimately that if we die, we're passing through to eternity with our Maker. And I so desperately want that peace that I have been experiencing to go out to others, people who are afraid right now, people who are hurting.
So good, man. No, I appreciate that and love that perspective. And there really is a difference right now for those that are placing their hope and find their peace in Jesus, and versus getting caught up in the fear and the worry. And it's a daily battle for all of us, but thankfully we have that foundation that we rely on to be able to see through the craziness and see Jesus, and that gives us the hope and the peace and the joy that we need during a challenging time, for sure. Well, for you mentioned your wife being pregnant. You're a month away, man. Congrats, exciting. It's an awesome time. I was where you are a year ago because I've got a 9-month-old. So
Awesome.
So I'm on the other side of it and know the pregnancy craziness of all that goes into getting ready and preparing and all that. So how are you feeling a month out, and what are kind of your thoughts on fatherhood now that you're so close to experiencing it fully?
I'd say the emotion I've got right now is just excitement. I think we're read all the books, we're taking the class, we've done all the prep, and I know we'll never be fully prepared, but just excited to see her and meet her. My wife, she's been kicking a ton, and so I've felt her from the outside, and my wife, a little more intimately knowing her, but just excited for the day to come. Although, we are cherishing our quiet evenings and all of that right now, but I'd say we're excited. My thoughts on parenthood, I think you figure it out as you go.
I hear you. No, that's exactly right. And soak in the final nights that you have together, because it's crazy. Even I'm 9 months in. It's hard for me to even think back. Wait, what was life like when it was just the two of us? It happens so quickly, and every night becomes so focused on bedtime, bath time, all that kind of stuff. So, but it's awesome. It's a joy, and I'm absolutely loving fatherhood. So you'll have a blast. So the excitement is definitely the right emotion for sure. The other thing too, I was telling another buddy who's about to have a baby here soon. We don't have the answers. Like, we can't figure it all out. We don't know anything going in. We can take the classes and feel a little bit more comfortable, but it really is learning as you go, and there's a freedom in that, and a fun aspect to it, trying to figure it out kind of one day at a time, because as soon as you think you've got to figure it out, then she changes, and all of a sudden, wait, I thought I was supposed to change her diaper this way. Now all of a sudden you got a new diaper because she's a different size. It's quite the adventure. So I'm in the middle of that right now. I can't figure out the latest diaper. It's too challenging. So I thought I had it down. But
yeah,
no.
we've got all the clothes, and don't buy newborn stuff because you don't know how fast they'll grow, how big they'll be, and like same with the diapers. And it's like there's so much to try and learn. It's like just take it as it comes, and give yourself some grace in it.
Lots of grace, that's for sure. And my one other word of advice, and you probably don't have much control over this, I've realized that the outfits that have buttons or snaps are a nightmare. So you got to stick to the zippers. Zippers are key.
Yeah, we have heard that. We've heard that.
Oh, good. All right, so you're aware of it. I've been in the trenches with the snaps one too many nights, and now I've tried to make sure people are aware of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, you got to turn the light on and wake them up, and
yeah, you got to remove any obstacles that you can. So, but no, that's awesome, man. Really excited, and it seems from a golf perspective, we're turning the corner, and even courses opening up and all that sort of thing. We've got some tournaments at least on the schedule as of now. And so for you, what is your first event back? What are you kind of anticipating with the return of actually getting back on tour?
Yeah, I'd say it really depends when our daughter comes. Right now, I'm not putting anything in pen on the schedule.
Nice.
But if she's on time, I'd expect to be home a couple weeks and then go play.
Cool.
So given she's due mid-June, we're hoping she comes a couple weeks early. That way I can get back to playing maybe at Hilton Head, which is the second event back.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, it's always a good one. Yeah, even for me, as I think back, I wish I would have stayed home a little bit longer than I did. I stayed kind of a couple weeks, but I was ready to get back to work. But then it's like, oh man, it's such a special time. So it's a tricky thing, but you'll be able to navigate that. But the good news is you'll be home there for a little while, and then get back out on the course. And one of the of course the big conversations is tournaments without fans, limited fans. as a golfer, so many days you're out there just playing golf by yourself and there are no fans, and then you go on tour, you go to a tournament, there are fans. So what is that dynamic like for you as a player, hearing fans, knowing fans? Like, how does it affect you, and what would it be like to have less fans out there or no fans at all?
I mean, honestly, I play without fans most of the time.
Yeah.
Unless you're a marquee, top player, like there really aren't that many galleries. So like most of your round, it's you, your caddies, the standard bearer, and like maybe your wife or a parent or something.
Yep.
So I'm fairly used to, not a lack of big galleries. But it'll be strange. It'll be quiet. I think that'll be the thing. Usually you can hear, you've got people in the hospitality tents and, crowds on 18 and first tee. So with no one, I think it'll feel anticlimactic. Unless you're in the hunt on Sunday, I think it'll just kind of feel like you're playing around with your buddies at home.
There is something just about you're watching and you're seeing fans walk around, and it creates an environment. So it's going to be even weird.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like at the Masters, those over the views of the seas of people, that just creates excitement when I watch, I think, oh, look at all those people. They're 10 deep. That's so cool. It does add even to the person at home.
Yeah, it does. It's interesting. So, yeah, I don't know what it's going to be like not seeing that. So it'll be wild. Well, speaking of the Masters, what are your thoughts on the fact that it's going to be in November, or at least we hope it's going to be in November?
Yeah, it'll again, like there's so many new leaves to turn over here with the schedule being different. And I mean, I think it'll be a historic Masters for sure. Typically it would be a dormant yellow grass. It won't be the lush green, but it's Augusta National, so they probably have some way of keeping the grass green 12 months a year up their sleeve. But yeah, I'm curious to see what it'll be like. It'll definitely play different. The weather will be different, and it'll be probably much colder. So the golf course will play longer, which it's already long. It will only help the big guns, big bombers. But it'll be fun.
Yeah, again, fascinating to see. And so you mentioned the big bombers, and I was reading a little bit about your kind of change in your game, and you've been able to improve your club head speed. So take us in kind of what took place and how this is affecting your game, and are you feeling still positive just about that kind of aspect that you've been able to work on? Yeah,
well, I started working with a new coach kind of in the middle of 2018, and we didn't specifically work on trying to hit it further, but it's been the byproduct of using my body more efficiently, swinging more freely, really just kind of getting rid of the inhibitors in my swing. Inhibitors meaning the doubts, the trying to be too careful, trying to be too perfect with technique. So I've started to get more comfortable with where my swing is at, and then when I get out on the golf course, I feel like I have a lot more control, so I don't need to try and control it. I'm going to play my best golf if I am really focusing on my target, my routine. I can live with a shot or two that's a little bit offline, but really staying committed to being free. I think that's what all golfers fight, that tendency to want to steer it off the tee and make the perfect putting stroke. And it's easy to get in your head in golf. And I think getting out of your head, enjoying the game in a way where you can swing freely, for me, has made all the difference. I still feel good about the progress I'm making. I think I'm still going in the right direction, and I'm excited to get back playing. I'm terribly rusty after this time off. It's been great rest for my body, being able to recover. Like I was saying, I probably haven't gone that long without hitting a shot in a lot of years. So really just let the body kind of heal, and something that isn't talked a whole lot about, but we play 40 something weeks a year. So we don't have big breaks, and our bodies just get pounded. So I think once I'm starting to find a little bit of a groove now in my practice, but I came out of the gates pretty rusty.
What does that look like for you when you are rusty? Like what do you miss when you're not playing all the time? Because like for me, I only play once a year, a couple times a year, so I'm always rusty. So I always play rusty. So what does that look like for you?
Just fundamentals. Like I'll come back and I'll have my weight kind of off. I'll have my grip will feel a little weird. I won't have the feel and the touch around the greens. So like I still make solid contact with my shots, like chipping, but I misjudge where I'm supposed to land it, or I miss my spot more often. So it's more gauging a feel for, it's more that like feel, like if I make this much energy in the swing, the ball will go this far, and that's been off. I think I make this much energy. I think it'll go 10 yards. It only goes 5. And then I correct, and then it goes 15 instead of 10. And then it's really just getting comfortable and relearning how much energy produces what kind of a shot.
Yeah, well, then you figure your body's rested, which you're normally not playing with such a rested body, and so you got to kind of work those muscles back into playing shape and all that too. So that's going to be quite the transition for you and all the other guys getting back in the swing of things.
Another thing was just the speed. Like you mentioned, I had the speed of my swing after the time off. It feels slower. Just my muscles aren't firing in sequence like they do when I've played regularly, and it's just takes a little time to get everything in line.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Gosh, so well, you'll have at least a few weeks, and then some time to catch your breath and enjoy your new baby. And you said it's a girl, right?
Yep,
it's a girl. Awesome. So you'll be able to catch your breath and then get back on tour this summer, hopefully, and we'll start seeing some golf again, which is great for us as fans. But Cameron, man, excited for you. So thankful that you guys can experience pregnancy and pray and trust that everything will go well with the delivery, and that you'll be able to soak in the experience. So great catching up with you.
Thank you.
Excited to watch you again, and glad to always have you here on Unpacking It.
You got it. Thank you, Bryce.
Awesome. There's Cameron Tringale joining us here on Unpacking It.
Intriguing guests and inspiring conversations. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
And we're back in studio to unpack the conversation we just had with Cameron Tringale. And what a cool guy. Love having him on the show. Thankful he came back on with us and to catch up with him, and excited for him becoming a new dad. I was going through that last year, so it's a fun and wild and crazy time. It'll be interesting to see how it affects his golf game and just kind of his perspective on golf too, because becoming a dad can change a lot of things, that's for sure. Well, my big takeaway from the conversation is the fact that he's been reading through a book on Psalms and kind of going through prayers based on the Psalms, and love that. And like I shared, I've been going through this book as well about prayer called The Praying Life, and I'm in a small group, mentor group, and we've been going through that book. and had a conversation actually this week about the book. And prayer is a challenging yet simple and easy thing. Like it's both. It's so complex because we're talking to and listening to the God of the universe, yet he's personal and involved and cares about us. And I believe he cares about the little details, and we can pray small prayers about small things, and we can also pray about big things, and we can pray big prayers, bold prayers. I think, too, the idea that it's not always about even answered prayers or us trying to change God's mind. It's about us changing through the process of prayer. Because as we pray, we surrender. We give it to God. We trust him. We let go of our trying to control things and say, Lord, your will be done. I trust you. Here are my desires. Here's what I'm wrestling with. Here's what I'm struggling with. Here's what I think I want. But Lord, I want you to show me what's best. And think about how many times you can think back on prayers that went unanswered, or they went a different direction, and you're so thankful that they did. And then there's some times where we go, oh, that's an unanswered prayer. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. And we may not understand until later on, or ultimately until we get to heaven. But we have to let go of that arrogance and that control to trust that the God of the universe, who loves us deeply, knows what to do. But that process of praying, the communication with the Lord, it sets our heart in the right place and our mind in the right place, and it draws us, just closer to the understanding of God and his character, and closer to him as a person and Jesus. And it's complicated and it's complex, and it's the Holy Spirit praying on our behalf. And so it is so complex that it's important that we study Scripture on prayer. We read things like the Psalms. We read other books about prayer, get different perspectives, how people have experienced prayer in their own life. And so I've seen God move in incredible ways through prayer. I absolutely believe in God. I believe in prayer, and I believe we need it really moment by moment, continuously. And maybe it's small prayers, short prayers, and then we need that concentrated time where it's silent and we're just focused on speaking to God and listening to him in communication and prayer. Sometimes it needs to be formal, or sometimes maybe we need to follow a method, and there's times for that, but then I think there's times too where we just need to have the freedom to talk to our loving Father who invites us in, who gives us access to him through Jesus. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for us that we have to pray, and we have to, just think about it, improve, work on it, and trust the process of prayer, that it's changing us from the inside out, as we seek the Lord and share our heart with him. It's incredible how then our heart becomes more like him, and we understand his heart. And so it's just it's incredible. It's supernatural. It's hard to always explain, but my encouragement to us today is find a book on prayer, study some different verses on prayer, and just pray. Just go for it. I think sometimes we're like, oh, should I pray about that? Just yes, pray. Let the Lord, he'll reveal himself. He'll help you figure it out. It's just taking that step toward him. As long as we're taking steps toward him, that's the gift that we have, that we're able to do that. So cool for Cameron to share a little bit about what he's learning and all that he's experiencing right now, becoming a dad. So loved having him on. Thank you for listening today. As always, I'm Bryce Johnson. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected, and through faith, I have been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a great rest of your day. Check out unpackingit.com. You can email me, Bryce@unpackingit.com, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the Unpacking It podcast.
For more information about the show, our events, and other resources, visit unpackingit.com. That's unpackingit.com. We hope you are encouraged, inspired, and challenged by what you heard today. To support our show and Unpacking It Ministries with a financial gift, visit unpackingit.com/donate. We look forward to unpacking sports, faith, and life with you again next week.